Welcome back, everyone, to Sky U Pod, your favorite Golden Gopher football podcast. After a long hiatus, we're back and we're talking your favorite topic. That's Gopher football. Joining me, as always, is Curdy and Max. Fellas, how have you been doing since our long time away?
Doing good. It's finally springtime. The snow is melted away. The birds are chirping, and I think I saw we're about 140 some odd days from Gopher football against Eastern Illinois. So it's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, doing well. I wish I had more to share of what I've accomplished in our time away, but not much. But it's been going good, man. Life's busy. We apologize for the long delay, but hey, we got a lot of news we can cover today, with our break we've taken and spring practice starting up. So I think this podcast episode got canceled about like 5 times before we finally found a time that worked for everybody. I canceled it like the first half of those, so that's on me. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to see you guys.
Yeah. It's always fun to throw in some Gopher football, the myths.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll just jump right into it. First off, let's talk about this new targeting rule. So I'm pulling this up from X. Thank you, Kurt, for putting in this link. So this fall, a player is disqualified for targeting for the first time during the season, regardless of which half of the game it occurs, and may participate in the next game. But any player disqualified for targeting a second time during the season will be required to miss the first half of the next game. Additionally, if a player is disqualified for a third time due to targeting this season, the player will be required to miss the entire game, next game, that is. Um, and just by the way, no players were disqualified for targeting 3 times in the 2025 season. So, with that being said, fellas, I know that maybe we've talked about this a few times over the years about the targeting rule. How are we feeling about this new change?
It still misses the point. It's way too punishing. Like if the first time they're basically acknowledging, hey, the first time it's pretty harsh to make a miss what could be an important game, just half of it. So let's not kick him out of that next game. But it's just as harsh to kick him out of that current game that's going on. So I don't understand why we need to remove the player from the game, especially the first time it happens. I I I don't know. I just like it can be somewhat beneficial for the players, I suppose. Um, like if they get one in the second half, but they just got to go back to spearing versus a football play. It is basically what it comes down to, and it's not that hard to tell the difference. So I'm not very happy. I mean, like the change itself doesn't make me unhappy, but I just don't think it really solves anything that people were already upset about.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. I feel like this doesn't really do much at all. It only benefits the player if it's their first time offense and it happens in the second half of a game. After that, now you're kind of it's in the back of your mind, right? Like if you get another one later, anytime later in the year too. Like that was where my mind went of like if a player takes kind of a fluky one, let's say in not a non-conference game, and now it's last game of the year rivalry week, and they're out for the first half because they took another one in week 11 or 13. Like,
Right.
how does that make any sense? Like that just has to carry over because they already had one earlier in the year. So I don't know. To me, it seems like the rule should be more on the lines of like your first targeting is a 15-yard penalty. Your second one, like of the game, you should be ejected, not of the whole season to like penalize them further. But
Right.
yeah, it doesn't really move the needle. I don't know. All in all, I feel like the targeting occurrences I feel like have really not been a problem. Like I think them establishing this rule and kind of really cracking down on it over the last what 10, 12 years, I feel like you see those hits and those plays go away. It's more the ones that do get called and get reviewed and they go, well, technically it it checks all the
That's
boxes. So now we have,
that's my problem is I don't think it's consistent in how they call it.
yeah,
Like if they were like on the money every time and it was clear and consistent, then it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But they're
right.
not. And so yeah, I mean just it didn't fix anything. And if they're allowing one to happen, like yeah, it can happen, like helmet to helmet hits can happen. What's to stop it happening like 2 games later, and all of a sudden, like you said, Max, you're already racking up like two and maybe number three on the year. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a
Yeah.
change that didn't really need to happen unless it was going to be more significant, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Kurt's point, it's a very subjective penalty because you're right, Kurt. It changes from official crew to official crew, right? I think it did get better when they made the adjustment of like the crown of the helmet like this big or something. Because if you remember before, the years before, it was utterly
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
The amount
The
of
face mask counted as the crown at one point. Like,
yeah, it was terrible. So I think that it has improved, but it's not in a place where I like it to be. Um, you know, it's it, and this does nothing for me, kind of like you both are saying. I think I like the idea, Max. Like, all right, give him the penalty. If it continues to happen in a game, then we can talk about ejections. But now, like, I don't know the data on, ejections, like how many people, you know, were assessed for targeting during this last season and how many had multiple, incidents of the targeting penalty. And I just feel like if you keep getting targeting penalties, it's going to fundamentally change the way you play as a football player because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, especially for these potentially big time teams that have a national championship on the line, they're not going to want to tackle the way that they're used to or be as effective as a player. Now, at the same time, it's like, if you're assessed for targeting more than once, how much of that is actually, a player's problem, or how much of that is bad luck? Again,
What's the
it's
old Gopher safety? They got like three
Duke
of them.
McGee.
Like
Duke
Duke
McGee.
McGee was
Yeah,
it?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he
yeah,
got like five in his season, I think.
right. So, like, if we think of Duke McGee, by the way, we love you, man. He might have to potentially change up, but again, that was in an era where face mask to the helmet was
Yeah,
targeting, right? So, um, I just think again, it's not really doing anything. It's just kind of adding to the drama, I guess. It's gonna be revisited every year.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm whatever about it.
I can't remember if I've thrown this out to you guys or not, but would you want to see something almost like a flagrant foul in basketball where like they can deem it a level one or level two? Like if it's obviously clear and intentional, yeah, eject the player, sure. If it's a he just happened to go down and the guy turned and
Right.
their helmet's technically hit and it checked a couple of the boxes, like okay, give him the penalty, but he shouldn't be ejected just because of that
Yeah,
one play. If they can deem it like
100%. I
intentional,
don't think I don't think intent's even that hard to notice in football.
right?
Like it's pretty
Right.
easy when you can tell when they're purposely lining someone up for the head because of how
Yeah,
quick the body changes. Like if you're launching up at somebody that's like already there,
right.
that's where you're gonna get the most intentional helmet to helmet type hits. Or like most obvious intention to like probably put that player out of the game. So yeah, I'd be for that, and I'm sure there'd be a cut like one or two calls a year where you're like, was that on purpose? Was it not? But I think it would be better than what we're doing. We're already doing that more frequently with the current targeting calls, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So yeah, I'm just for the players staying in the game because at the end of the day, they signed up to play football. Most of them are very well compensated for it. Hits are going to happen. Um, I'm all for player safety, but at some point, you just got to respect the integrity of the game and let it be physical. So
Well
that's
said.
all I got to say on that. I want to throw one topic off the wall that's not off the script, not on our script here of things to talk about, just about our neighbors in Wisconsin there. What do you think of their own basically, from what I understand, they passed a bill that would give taxpayer money, about I think it was 14.5 million straight to the athletic department that's not exactly going straight to NIL, but it's freeing up other money for the university to put into paying the athletes directly. So essentially, it's putting money into the pockets of athletes. What are your thoughts on that? Uh, do you want it? Do you think it's coming here? I guess to the university.
It's an interesting strategy. It'll be interesting to see how that works. I don't know. I don't know much about. I won't get into their,
I
details
think
with their
it's sad,
taxes and stuff.
to be honest.
It it is a little. Yeah, to your point, meaning they have to rely on the taxpayers to fund their
Well,
NIL or their athletics
I
or.
mean, if in Minnesota, I get that public universities get tax dollars in one way or the other, or federal dollar. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but like that, your tax dollars would go to directly funding basically a player's salary. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
a little ridiculous. Like, that's
Yeah.
gone too far, and I
Right.
want players to get paid in Minnesota and stay, like, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
go that far as to like start taxing my neighbors who don't give a crap about college sports at all, but
Yeah.
start having their money going towards, you know,
Yeah.
landing a
I think
quarterback.
it's an interesting thought. Like I'd like to see how most people in Wisconsin feel about that. How do you feel about this money is going towards your new quarterback's, NIL deal? It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to hear what they have to say. To your point, I do think it's kind of sad that it's got to come to that, I guess, but
It
And
all started with,
especially,
go ahead, Max.
well, and didn't like Wisconsin, then they had to cut like a ton of sports from their program or like from their
Oh,
athletic
yeah.
department too, like to make football and basketball work. Like, so
Well,
now
they
it's
did
like,
it to
well,
put more spending into them already. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they're going all in on it.
So yeah, I feel like if I'm, I don't know, I don't know how you spin it into a reasonable argument. Like if you say this money's only going towards, the sports that got cut or something like that, but that's not what's going to happen. We all know that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
So
Well, and to be fair, I don't know if this was like already money that tax dollars were going to, and they just kind of like changed the direction of it. Like this money was already going to the university, but this bill allows it to go to
sure,
athletics. Like I don't know. Like so, but
yeah,
I do think it's sad how quickly it went from just what 6 years ago, 5 years ago, however long it's been that NIL needed to be a thing so players could get rightly compensated, and now it's going as far to we need to rework the law so we can use the tax dollars to pay the athletes to be like it's just
yeah,
ridiculous. I know it's not getting fixed, and it's sort of like let the free market figure it out, but it's not what you want to see in college football. I think most people would agree. Um, and that's not just us being Minnesota not having as much money as the big guys to say that. In a
yeah,
perfect world, the player earns all that money that they're getting from like that local dealership in town or something like that, right? Or someone, if you're a big enough brand where you get the national brand to come in and sponsor you. Not like not a use of tax dollars when we got so many other. I'm not going to go into it, but so many other issues in state to state that could be helped out with money. But anyway,
yeah, you're
yeah.
right. I wonder like who made this decision and why? Like, is that an important thing for the common Wisconsinite? I don't know.
yeah, I
You know what I mean? Like, what it
I
like? I don't
do.
know that answer.
I don't know if it got roped into like the University of Wisconsin sports is like basically um, great advertisement for the state and like entertainment for the state that brings money in that way, through competition. I think is what I saw it somewhat being pitched, but again, I saw one post about it, so I don't want to sit here like I read over the law that got signed and everything, but yeah, I
Right.
think that's how it got fixed. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of people that aren't happy. How about this? Every state just taxes the people a little bit less, and I think that would make everybody happy.
There you go. Maybe we can afford to go to more games then.
Oh, there you go.
No.
That's right.
The one thing I'd be curious about, I know I put this in the group chat too. Like maybe this law opens it up for all universities and athletic programs within the state of Wisconsin, but like if it's explicitly for the University of Wisconsin Madison, like if I'm a Marquette basketball fan, I'm freaking out. Like
Good
how
point.
does that work? And there's other I think Green Bay and UW Milwaukee are both D1 basketball programs too. Like obviously not to the caliber, but still like how is that
Right.
fair at all? You just get tax dollars flowing to your competition in state and you're
As
just
I
like,
like
well,
to say, the Badgers need all the help they can get anyway. So
Yep.
all that money
right.
just to keep Luke Fickle, hopefully get him to 600 eventually, or 500. Excuse me, 6 wins,
Yeah.
500. You know where I was going.
Maybe they'll get some cash. I don't know how it's all going to work with I think Wisconsin's getting mobile sports betting now too, so they got that
Yeah,
going for them.
we're gonna have. That's exciting though, because we are located close enough to hop over into that eastern part of the state, and
Dabble.
or I should say, yeah,
Mhm.
I guess it'd be the western part of Wisconsin, but we could do some Sky U Pod live shows from Hudson as we're throwing down the Sky U Pod parlay of the week. Just get one of those nice establishments to sponsor us. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
There
But
you go.
then are our winnings funding Wisconsin football?
Tune in
Probably
next
in
week
some
to find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's jump into some other news. From the Gopher side, commitments. We received a commitment from 2027 South Dakota four-star tight end and four-star North Dakota tight end, uh, Brooks Bacco, I think. Um,
Yeah, sorry. That's the North Dakota one. I
North Dakota,
accidentally
sorry.
deleted the other guy's name.
Yeah.
Mickelson
Um,
is the other guy.
Mickelson, yeah. Yep. And Mickelson, let's jump into Mickelson. He chose the Gophers over to Wisconsin again. Looks like those taxes aren't selling him. And then also chose us over Sparty and some other D1 offers. He is the Gophers' third highest rated commitment of the class. Jumping to Baco, he is the Gophers' highest rated commit of the class and the number five tight end of the whole class. He is their fourth highest rated commitment of all time. He offers to play pretty much anywhere. Gophers 27 class is currently ranked 14th in the nation. Um, this is awesome. I think
Yeah.
it's great. One thing, we hear a lot about PJ sometimes, but he can recruit. I think we cannot deny that. Now, it's a whole nother discussion about keeping, these guys. It's probably, I'm willing to bet it probably won't, we won't be able to keep all that talent. That's just the way that college football is. But hey, take it when you can get it. And I'm glad that you can recruit right out of the gate like that in high school and everything. So great work. Any other comments, fellas?
Just adding two dynamic athletes like that to a position as tight end where it gets used so versatily in this offense is exciting. So to have that high of recruits, especially Baco, or I'm not sure how you the pronunciation, but Baco, um, literally had offers everywhere. So number five tight end in the country. As we know, we're not naive. A lot of time before actual signing day, but yeah, you're off to a great start. And being right there in the Dakotas and having them know each other, I know they're not in the same state, but just that they reached out to each other and they talked about it from what it sounds like of just committing in together. So two four-star tight ends, never going to complain about that.
Yeah. And you already got Roman Voss here starting his freshman year this season too. So credit to our tight ends coach, blanking on his name right
Yeah,
now, but
Kohler,
he is yeah, that's right. Kohler, Eric Kohler.
I believe so.
Yeah. Coach Kohler is he's earned a raise, if you will.
And I just
We don't have the
love
money.
I know. he's earned it. He's may not get it, but yeah,
right.
he's bringing a lot of talent. It's great.
I just love the tight end room. Since I'm thinking back to Max Williams, it just seems like we've always had studs at that position. Maybe at times, maybe a little underutilized as we've seen kind of recently, but I think ultimately they play a big role, whether that's blocking or maybe even catching some balls. Yeah, I'm very impressed with the tight end, and hopefully we can keep utilizing that as a weapon going forward during the regular season. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Now, before we get into our next topic, Kurt wanted to jump in on a topic of University of Minnesota's athletic director, Mark Coyle. Frankly,
Yeah.
I don't know where Kurt's going to go with this. So, Kurt, I just want you to go ahead and take the floor and
Yeah.
express to us and our listeners what you're feeling.
First, I want to fully acknowledge that this is about 8 weeks late, and so there's a lot of layers to cover here because the Gopher fan perception on this whole thing has changed. So this all started, like I said, roughly 8 weeks ago. The Kentucky athletic director job came open, and Mark Coyle basically was named one of the top candidates. Now, if you actually read the article, it sounds like that their number one target is not him, and that it's basically agreed upon that the number one target's going to be the guy. So I don't think he's actually going to leave. But when this article dropped, people were like, "Oh my gosh, is Coyle going to leave?" I saw a little bit of panic from Gopher Twitter. I kind of chimed in there saying, "Go ahead and leave." Got a little bit of pushback, or I shouldn't say pushback directly, but there was some discussion happening. I wasn't the only one that felt that way at that time. But there's just a lot of discussion that came up from that. Like, should we be worried if we lose Mark Coyle? And I've always felt like the other like national Big Ten media has always kind of made it seem like Coyle has been like a real leader here and someone we can't replace. So I just wanted to dive into that a little bit. Okay, so in 2024 we signed Coyle to an extension, making 1.4 mil a year. Good for him. I'm not ripping his salary at all. It put him in the top third of the Big Ten, right? Okay, so he's already a top third athletic director salary making guy at Minnesota. So you look around at what his accomplished are, and like what are the accomplished to justify us being afraid to lose him, and also putting him in the top third of the Big Ten as far as like performance. Like I don't know if I'd put him there. I think you just got to take a step back and look about what he's actually accomplished. So he's got PJ, right? That seems to be the one coaching hire that's hit on the first try. And there was some talk like, well, if he left, would he take PJ? Which I think is where most Gopher fans' insecurity comes from, if there was anything to this story. And to that point, it would be Kentucky just fired Mark Stoops, who was basically doing what PJ would do there. Got 8 wins every year. They got tired of it. Had a couple seasons where they fell back a little bit. And literally, this is at Kentucky football where it was not much history, and they gave him the boot. So do they want PJ? I don't think so. I don't think that job's appealing to PJ for seeing what they just got rid of Stoops for doing exactly what he's been doing here and keeps getting an extension. So I don't think we have to worry about that at all. Now you got to go look to his other Mark Coyle's other sports hires, and we'll start with the big ones, which is the basketball programs. You look at, in this day and age of generating the most revenue possible, he hired Ben Johnson, which totally tanked the basketball program. And the excuses I hear thrown out for that, like, well, Ben Johnson wasn't hired for the NIL era. He literally got hired right before the NIL era happened. Like, literally hired, and all of a sudden it was legal to pay players. So that's just a lack of foresight, in my opinion. If that's what he went all in on the coaching hire, that didn't have the ability to, like, see that as something your coach would need. So while these other schools get to count men's basketball as like their second biggest revenue generator, it's still a net negative for the U right now, thanks to Coyle and how he's handled it so far. Now, Nico Mavded, I think, did a terrific job this past year, so I think he's righted the ship there. But same thing with women's basketball. Lindsay Whalen, former player, I wanted it to work out for her, though. Same thing. Women's basketball is the fastest growing sport in college athletics as far as viewership goes. And so to have that kind of start with such a be behind the boat that much in that regard, as far as gaining fan interest. Again, our current coach did a wonderful job. I know they just went on a little run to the Sweet 16, so he's made it up for the second hire. But these misses for that long of time put us behind as far as revenue goes. So there's that. Then you come to like getting money generated for the NIL. As the athletic director here, I know you don't have the final say. I know it's the Board of Regents have to approve what you can spend on your sports, but part of Coyle's job, I think, should be to try and put some pressure on them to increase what they're spending. And the best I think we've really gotten is he's made some comments on like public radio shows or certain interviews about how basically like it's an honor to be in the Big Ten and you have a duty to spend like a team in the Big Ten. And I see some people like in the main media like, oh, I think that's him putting pressure on the Board of Regents. It's like, really? Like that's the best we got is him just like, hey, we should be spending money with that statement. Like with him making those kind of statements, as far as I'm concerned, he could just be getting paid well enough to go out and be the face to say all that stuff and just kind of take some of that blame, similar to how the Polids treat, you know, whoever they're putting in charge of the Twins. But, and again, like I'm not fully blaming him for the spending. Like there's only so much he can do, but to pretend like Coyle's amped this up so we're putting like all this new money into our sports, that's just not happening. And it's more so of things going on with, you know, the new TV deal. So that was kind of the main discussion at the time. And then it came time for the thing that I think swung all Gopher fans into feeling kind of like how I did. And that came to the hockey programs. Gopher men's hockey and women's hockey both relieved their coaches after this most recent seasons were completed, okay? And so, you know, for Gopher hockey, both men's and women's, you are essentially the Texas Longhorns of college football in the sense that you're a blue blood. You got top 5 facilities, no doubt. Maybe the Gophers aren't top 5 in NIL available to hockey players, but we're definitely up there. And it's just a job that everybody takes notice when it's open. And you have all the homegrown talent in your state that you could possibly want. High-end homegrown talent. Okay? So it is your time as a program to go out and flex your muscles and go out and get somebody like big. Like Minnesota hockey goes out and steals other teams' top coaches. What does Coyle do during this time? He is at the men's basketball tournament, and I get it. He's like on the NCAA men's basketball committee, so like it's part of his job, I guess. But for women's, he ends up going with promoting the assistant head coach to head coach, which, hey, I'm rooting for him, but doesn't do a lot to motivate, get the fans excited. For the men's, he goes and hires, you know, the guy out of St. Cloud, Larson, who, in my opinion, that's like the equivalent of going down the road to the closest MAC school and hiring that decent coach that did well because you had a coach opening. You know, like that's like Ohio State going to hire, you know, Miami of Ohio's coach or something, or whoever's having a good year in that time. You missed out on an opportunity to really flex and show that you're the top dog in that sport. And I just don't think he put in the effort. Now, that being said, I'm rooting for hires, right? Like, I think the staffs around them look potentially encouraging, but I just don't know what is so valuable about Coyle. And, you know, I hear people praise him for like, well, he's been really open to working with the NIL collective. It's like, yeah, and my car's open to running on gasoline. Like it's an essential at this point. You don't get credit for being able to work with the NIL collective. That's the basic necessity of this job at this point in time. So I'm not saying I want Coyle fired by any means, but I'm just sort of sick of other fans and the media trying to tell me that as a Gopher fan that we're like lucky to have him because he was a finalist for the UCLA the USC athletic director job. It's just what has he actually accomplished here? He's hired PJ. He looks like he's got the basketball coaches going now. But I just need to see more where it's going to get me to panic about losing him to being the leader of these athletic programs. So that's what I had to get off my chest. I know it's a little late. If you guys don't have anything to add to that, and if that was boring, I apologize. But it just had to be said because it was getting talk on X, like I said, a couple months ago, and I'm just like, Mark Coyle leaving do doesn't set back the university at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kurt. I mean, I don't know. I just think that if you're Coyle, I wonder how. I wonder what's going through Coyle's head. That's kind of what makes me think about this whole thing. Like, what does he want to do? What does he think that he's worth? Because I think that you're exactly right. I think that, to your point, basketball has been a disaster. We're going to see. I mean, I think that the girls had a great year this year. The men kind of starting out. We'll see how they end up. They were kind of meh, but we'll see first year. Um, Hockey, abysmal. Football, it's just like Kentucky, as you're saying. So, does he think that or do universities really think that he is the guy to go to take them over the hump? I don't know, because to your point, he's hired PJ, and PJ is good for 7 or 8 wins a year, but we really haven't seen much since 2019. And from the football standpoint, if you're talking about the level of success that probably Kentucky is wanting to see, and maybe a lot of these other schools want to see too. Um, Obviously, being an AD goes farther than just one sport in football, but yeah, I totally agree with you, Kurt. I don't really have
I
much else to say.
I'm just you want the AD and football coach to be in line, which is what you have here, so that's good. I'm just sort of sick of Coyle, uh, using the crutch of that word, like, you know, not a top revenue earning team. It's like, well, part of the reason our revenue's down is because of the hires you made, and it's just like he was comparing at one point during the year like Ohio State's football revenue to ours. It's like, yeah, we're not touching that. Nobody's expecting that. But when you factor in like men's hockey for Gopher sports, um, it's like when you take out men's basketball and college football, like Gopher men's hockey is like the most profitable like third sport in the country. One of the most revenue wise for the school. Like out of comparing all school wide, like it goes up there against other teams, baseball teams and all that in the South. Like men's hockey brings in money here at the U. So that's kind of like a bonus. I feel like to have that high of like highly touted as a hockey program to bring in that much money, and then you just got to get the basketball programs going. And I think they will. Like I think the guys they have in place now are good. So that's why I'm not like calling for Coyle's head. I just think, especially how he handled the hockey coach search of like basically conducting everything over Zoom, wanting to go super quick, which I get, but like it didn't even come across as putting a lot of effort to go out and poach one of the top guys. And the thing with hockey is there's a lot of people with Minnesota ties that are all over the country that are running really good programs that you probably could have interviewed. And I guess I don't know for sure. Maybe they all really did turn down the job. I'm skeptical, but anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. We do have some actual Gopher football topics here now. Um, Go ahead, Shuddy. Take
Yeah.
it away.
The spring game, it's back. Yeah. I'm asking if you guys are excited, and I'll say I am. I am excited. I remember years ago when PJ got rid of the spring game. I was a little bit indifferent of it, but Kurt made a good point. In the midst of NIL, why not just have your spring game to bring in more money for the athletes? And that's a tremendous point. But also, let's get excited about Gopher football too. Just I feel like there's a lot of casual fans for Gopher football out there, which is fine. But I think getting a spring game, getting an activity for young families to go to, or just even the casual fan to go to, just to get something to get excited about or to talk about, is a good thing to have for Gopher football. So I'm excited for it. I've kind of changed my tune on it. It's not like before I was like, oh, we don't need a spring game. I just was like, eh, whatever. But Kurt did convince me with what he was saying. You know, when this first came down when they got rid of it. So, what about you both? Excited? Not excited? How you feeling?
I think I'm happy about it being back. I wouldn't say I'm to the level of like I'm excited, but I like you said, I think it's a good way to promote the team. I think it's a good way to rile up some excitement for the season. Um, what we'll take away, I'm sure it'll give us a lot to talk about, after the game of
Right.
what we see. We're gonna overreact like everyone does. Um, but as far as what I think we're gonna take away from it, I don't know. I feel like we're gonna see some things and it's going to have no real impact on what we learn about this team, which is fine. I mean, it's really not for us; it's for them to get prepared. So I don't know. I think it's from a fan perspective. I think it's good to have it. I don't think it really changes much though, as far as how we are going to look or be going into the year.
Right. So here's what I'm gonna say up front. I am fully aware and always fully acknowledge that I'm not gonna see any new play or any super meaningful look out here that's gonna be game changing and like, oh my gosh, this guy snagged 37, whatever. Like there's gonna be nothing that just blows you away. But I am sick, not what you guys are doing. Again, this presence online, there's still this small. First of all, when it got canceled, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, like you don't learn anything." So really, I don't get why people are crying about it being canceled. 80% of those people were celebrating when they announced it back. So I'm counting that as a win for Sky U Pod that the spring game was always a good idea. Like, why would you not want to just go sit outside on a beautiful day in the stadium and watch football happening and just get just like something during this just dead period? But anyway, so that's a win. But there's still just like this feeling that like the spring game is just like not cool to be excited about. When I would argue that like this is your first chance to hear the coaches, or I'm sorry, see guys that coach has been hyping up for like in some cases a couple of years now that they just haven't seen the field, and there's been no spring game, so we have not seen them with their own eyeballs. And I would argue that this year, just with some of the position battles that are out there and some of the uncertainty of just the amount of new faces, that you are going to be seeing starters in this spring game like doing meaningful reps. And I know nothing is finalized in the spring, but I think in some of these spots there's so many guys that are in the mix that even if you're considered like the third string in spring, you could be the starter come fall. Just there's that many bodies I think that have chances to win spots. So I'm looking forward to it. I will be going as long as it happens outside. They announced that it's going to happen outside at the at Huntington Bank, but it is subject to change due to weather. So it's always hit or miss here in the spring if we can actually go out and see it. I don't even know how to get inside. Like I get sometimes it's at the indoor facility and that's sometimes open to X amount of fans, but I never know how. I've never gotten to there when they've letting fans gone inside, but I go to most that are outside. So
I
um,
also, I to that point, kind of slightly off topic. Two things: is there like a window that the NCAA requires you to hold spring practice and or games?
I'm
Because
sure.
why not push it a little later, like
Oh,
just so people can go? Or if there are rules in place, why not go to US Bank? Just do
mm,
something, it probably costs money. I know that it's easier said than
yeah,
done. But, like make some money for these athletes, but also, I want to go see the Gophers play in the springtime. You know what I mean? Like it would just be
yeah,
selfishly, I would love to watch them in a place where I can sit down and watch it rather than in an indoor facility where I'm on the
right,
sideline trying to
right.
watch.
Yeah, I think it's because of how quick the weather changes. Obviously, they don't want to commit to going to US Bank because I mean, it is, when it's nice out, it's a beautiful, I mean, the stadium's gorgeous. You got the downtown view happening. It's a super chill. environment too. Like it's a great one to bring your kids to if you got kids, especially for the first time. Like it's the perfect environment for that where you're like it's not overly crowded, so there's going to be some space for them to run around a little bit, at least you know, a few seats down and whatnot. And yeah, and I think too, if you keep it in house, then it's easier to get more of that whatever money you were to make on sales of beer or whatever that be that can go to players happens. You know what I mean? Instead of giving, you know, the Vikings owner a cut just for renting out the stadium for a day. So, but it's not a bad idea. I think it's just unfortunate, you know, timing you have to deal with the weather being in the spring and an outdoor stadium in Minnesota. But yeah, I don't hate that idea.
Yeah. Do you, for the fans that do want to go, what day is this again? The spring game?
It's I don't remember. It's April 26th or 28th. Whatever's a Saturday. I don't remember which one is the Saturday. I should, because what day's today? The 11th. So, I'm sorry. Tomorrow will be the 11th, which is a Saturday. So the 18th. Is it the 25th? Must be the 25th.
25th? Yeah.
Must be the
last
25th.
Saturday.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I was going to say, Spencer. To your point about being able to push it back, I don't think they would, even if they could, because I'm guessing if people sustain injuries in the spring practice, they want those to have the most time possible to recover. So
Sure.
I don't think they're
Like a month
coaches are
more
necess-
recovery or even a
Right.
couple weeks is beneficial. Sure.
right. But yeah, I'm excited. I seriously, I'm not hyping this up because we have a podcast on. I think there is more to possibly learn than ever in the spring. And I know Drake Lindsay is only going to throw maybe 10 passes, not going to get hit, whatever. Darius Taylor and Anthony Smith, those guys probably aren't playing. But, I mean, just for a running back, for example, like, who's running back two right now? I don't even know if Turner's healthy yet based off his surgery recovery from last year. So you're going to see guys that are going to get meaningful reps this year, like, heavily utilized in the spring game. So I just think there's a lot to look forward to. Should be fun.
Yeah. And is that kind of, I guess, is that kind of what you're mostly looking for, Kurt? Is just the personnel that's going to be out there? Like, are you looking for, are we rotating the offensive line a little bit? Who's playing the nickel spot? Or are you just looking at, like, you want to see individuals maybe for the first time in like true competition and just how they look?
Well, all of the above, and like my point is, like, yeah, I think we are going to see obviously heavy rotation, but I mean, look at tight end, look at corner. I think all of those rooms have so many new guys that are all expected to contribute right away that no matter who's in there, like, and no matter who's in there, you're going to see somebody that the coaches are thinking could get time, and I know you don't get to see everything, but you do get hints at where coaches think certain guys could plug in, you know. And I know there was an open practice the other day, and I guess it was actually late at night. I completely missed that, or I shouldn't say late at night. I think it was like at like 5 or 6 o'clock, but on a weeknight, so it's tough to make. But I think people are undervaluing all of that, Max, that you said. I think you can read into that a little bit more than years prior in this game, and you know I'm not saying because you know. Trying to think of an example. There's so many new faces. Who's a new guy? You know, if for some reason Anthony Smith is practicing and they come out with him at D tackle and T.J. Bushkid at DN for a series, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, come out screaming that Anthony Smith is a full-time D tackle now. You know, I'm not gonna take that away. But I just think it's fun to see what the coaches are looking at so far at this point in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to that point, kind of a branching question from this topic. Is there a player, a freshman or a transfer that you're looking at and excited to see this spring? And is there a position group that you're paying attention to the most and why?
We'll start with player. Go ahead, Max. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. For me, I kind of hinted at it, but I'm going to, and there's a couple of guys we could go with. If I was being like just one player I'm most excited to see at the start of next season, it's going to be TJ Bush, the edge from Cal, just to see how he factors in with our already other solid D ends and their ability to pass rush. But for this question in particular, I'm going to go with a different answer. I'm going to go with cornerback Aiden West out of Michigan State. You know, this is a young guy. He had tons of offers from big schools out of high school. Ended up going to Michigan State, where he's playing early as a true freshman. Now he's already receiving praise here in this spring ball practices. Danny Collins already praised his coverage skills, noting his ability to run and cover down the field. And that sounds obvious for a corner, but it's where we really struggled last year. And so for me, this is where my mind goes, because I always shoot to like best possibility if these guys pan out the way you hope. You already got John Nestor kind of as one starting corner on the outside, on the other side of the ball, who's shown the ability to take the ball away, make some plays, sort of Body Calhoun-esque, if you will, a little bit, just with his ability to get in there and come away with the football. So if Aiden West can kind of be that true coverage guy with his ability to cover, down the field, I think you kind of are looking at maybe just slightly reminiscing of having Eric Murray and Brian Body Calhoun as your two outside starting corners. It just helps the defense so much, and that's very lofty expectations. I'm not putting that on this young crew already, but for me, I'm looking at Aiden West if he can be that true outside guy for us.
Yeah, I was thinking right along the same lines, Kurt. If I were to pick someone else, I'd probably go with Bennett Warren, the young offensive tackle from Tennessee who transferred in. Kind of just along the same lines. It's a position you can set up one-on-one situations where he can't really hide from it. Like, I was kind of looking through, some of the new wide receivers or tight ends, and it's like we could see him get thrown a ton of balls, but that doesn't mean they're going to run those same plays or get that volume of passes during the season. Offensive line and cornerback, you can't hide in these situations. Like, are you covering your guy or are you not? I hope they line up Anthony Smith and TJ Bush against him. Just let him go best on best if that's truly how it's going to be. Or the other side of it too is he splitting first team reps? Is he taking all the first team reps? Is he not even a starter at this point? Because he was kind of the big splash we made at offensive line. That right side specifically was a huge weakness. So all signs would point to he's the guy, but we won't know till we see it. And he would have a big opportunity to, ease some concerns, I guess, after last year.
There is not an answer, but there's an early indication of an answer to your question you just posed, if you want to know it, about
I do.
where he's playing.
Yeah.
It looks like he's currently second string as far as been rotating in, and it's I'm looking up the roster right now because I can't remember anyone's name, guys. Right now, I will find it. Oh, I'm not gonna find it quick enough. It's DJ. I think they call him DJ, and it's like Shiplin or so. He's like a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore.
Oh, yeah, Daniel Ship.
Thank you. Yeah, he's been the starting right tackle for the first reps. But like you said, they are mixing everyone in, and Warren's been right behind him. So,
yeah,
you hope you hope just with the money you spent probably and the amount of potential that Warren has, he wins out. But if Ship's coming along, it is what it is. But to your point, that's all stuff we can tune in at during this spring.
Right. And I guess my answer kind of packages up both. It's an answer to both questions of I want to see, is it Warren Bennett? And if it's not, then that's a position group I want to see who's on that right side of the offensive line and how do they hold up against some pretty talented edge rushers.
Yeah.
So that's your position group too, just the O-line as a total.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't. Am I tripping or who's our right guard? I don't. Right, the left line's. Oh yeah, is he back? Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Yes, Greg Johnson. Yeah. You're right. And is it Beers is Beers back or is he finally gone?
Beers is back. Yep, at center.
Okay. So we're really just trying to lock down right tackle then.
Pretty much. Assuming
Yeah.
they don't shuffle anything else. I don't know why you would. I mean, the left side should be solid. Beers is your center. I don't know where else you're going to put Tony Nelson.
Please,
I mean,
please leave. Yeah, please leave Greg Johnson alone at left guard. I thought
right.
he shined there. Same with Roy at left tackle. But, um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a good one. That one, I feel like we're gonna be so run heavy. So not that we can't learn anything, but I'm just curious how much they show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
To,
Yeah.
to that point, I know they're not going to show much, but I want to see some life out of the receiver room, right? So we know what we are going to get from Javon Tracy and Jalen Smith. But I'm looking at the transfer out of Auburn, Perry Thompson. 6'3", 220. Can he be that physical receiver that I feel like we need? The guy that can just get up and get it, or just, you know, make some things happen from the receiver standpoint. We need some more talent there in life in that position, I think. And with a quarterback like Drake Lindsay, you just need somebody to take the reins and just take over that position group. Again, I do like Javon Tracy and Jalen Smith, but it'd be great to get a third receiver in there that you can really trust. So that's where my eyes are.
Yeah. I have been hearing good things, or the coach has been, and I've been reading from the reporters that have been at the practice and hearing about Noah Jennings. I think he's the one from Cincinnati, I believe. Um, he looks to be the favorite to join those other two that you mentioned,
Wow.
Tracy and Smith right now as receiver number 3. But he's more of a slot body type, and I believe Perry Thompson was more of a big bodied guy, right? Like an
Yeah.
X receiver. So,
Right.
not saying he can't get rotated in, but those look to be the favorites to be your starting 3 receivers. But it's early. It's spring ball, and I'm sure
Are
all of
we
them are going to get out there.
Are the Gophers just not really going with that true X, that tall, big kind of receiver that can just
Well,
go up and get it?
I think Tracy and Smith have elements of that, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
Smith is pretty fast and getting separation like deep down the field. Like not he's not really, I wouldn't call him necessarily shifty, but he's like a 1 to 2 cut guy and just go like let him start running. So,
right.
and Tracy's lanky, like he makes contested catches that way. So, and I think the hope would be Perry Thompson would be what you're saying, develop into that full on possession, just goes up and wins 90% of the 50-50 ball type things. So, um, yeah, they're definitely trying for it because you see how many big bodied guys they take a chance on. So,
Right.
um, we'll see. Um, yeah, as far as the position group that I'm going to be paying the most attention to, you may disagree, but for me, it's going to be the tight end group. For spring ball, I think it could be the most wide open position battle you got. You got 3 seniors that departed last year. Pierce Walsh is the only one that's got experience with this team that's returning. You got the Oklahoma transfer. Hold on. I have his name. Don't tell me it. It's it's Caden Helms. So you got Caden Helms, who I think I may have been underselling a bit because from hearing people talk about him, they keep talking about his athleticism that they've seen here in spring ball. So it sounds like he's maybe a guy that just has had bad injury luck and wasn't able to see the field very much in Oklahoma. So he might be more than I thought. So I'm excited to see him out there if he plays. But even like I know Roman Voss isn't here yet, who's someone that comes, in summer ball that might get playing time. But just looking at the room, you got Julian Johnson. He was a kid out of Illinois that Iowa really wanted. He's 6'6", 250. He's now a redshirt sophomore. You got Sam Peters, the local kid, who could be maybe one of your more, not that he can't catch the ball, but one of your more primary blocking tight ends. Again, he's a redshirt junior now. Caden Helms, I'm sorry, I already brought him up. And then you got Jacob Simpson, who's out of Iowa, who also they like as a receiver, his receiving ability, who's 6'4", 240, and now in his 3rd year at the program. So you have a lot of guys that have had time to marinate, and now They're not your typical, under PJ especially. We've had a lot of heavy heavy blocking tight ends, and that's definitely needed. But some of these guys here that have been stuck with the program, the talk about them coming up has been more of their twitchiness and more athletic ability in receiving the football. So to see that play out over spring, because I think they're all going to be out there. And I read off a lot of names there, and that's not including, like I said, Roman Voss coming later on. So they're all going to be vying for reps. I'm excited to see what they can do, and just the different body types they have there. I think it's maybe the position group you can learn the most from, just from watching them in the spring.
Definitely. Yeah, and hopefully they bring both, right? That athleticism along with any bit of physicality you can get out of them, just with
Oh yeah.
replacing
Well, and
James
how many?
Gears as one of our better blocking players, not just tight ends.
Yeah, right. Well, especially with the emphasis on fixing the run game. Okay, so the tight ends are going to be a huge help in that, or part of that. And we ran how many sets out of two with 2 to 3 tight ends in them last year? So
Right.
we're going to be seeing a lot of these guys, and these are guys that have been here that we been here a while that we haven't seen any of. So I'm watching the tight ends. I think the closest.
Right on.
Yeah.
Any other things of note, fellas?
Well,
I think one other
good.
group to watch out for, just because they're like all new, would be interior D line.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to tell what you're really going to get out of it, just because it's hard. I mean, it's just such a, you don't always know what their assignment is, and you know what they're supposed to be doing versus what happens is hard to tell, especially in a live situation like this. But more just like, where are they actually lining up? Like, who's going to be the nose? Who's going to be the three technique? Who's rotating in? Who's playing both? How much does Anthony Smith play everywhere? Like that kind of stuff. Just curious how they think that it's going to shuffle out.
I know they've been getting a lot of praise from the coaching staff, the defensive front, especially in this early go. Like Danny Collins,
Yeah.
he seems pretty fired up so far. Like I know they had the open practice and a little mini scrimmage kind of going on, and it sounds like the defense pretty clearly beat the offense. And they're not throwing everything right. In fact, Harpo's presser after sounded a little defensive. He's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to put the offense in tough situations. You know, I could be scheming up Danny. Of course, I want to do that, but we're trying to put these guys in situations." I'm like, "Whoa, okay." Like it just came across as a little insecure. And maybe he should be, with all the assistant coaches that are being surrounded for both of these guys by the. I mean, they're basically on 1 year deals, both coordinators. They have 1 year left on their deals, both of them, this year. And PJ went out and got him a lot of assistance. So I know that's not a position group, but watching how the new coaches change both the offense and the defense, hopefully it's for the better. I think Ryan Burns and Guardsy made the joke that it's 10th year in a row that PJ says this is the best coaching staff he's ever had on their Pair and Despair podcast. It was funny and true. Max, you brought up the interior. Sorry, I'm looking for another name. Sunram. Sunram, right?
Yeah.
Riley Sunram. He's a
Yep.
guy that's been flashing as well behind the transfer. I think the transfers, from what I gather, those transfers, not just primarily, but they're really going to be in there on the early down stuffing the run, it seems like. Or at least that's the general thought. But those young guys that we've had for a while, like, they have a chance to get out there in pass rushing situations. So, like we've mentioned too, like that's just our hypothesis that Anthony Smith will bump back in with the edge rushers we got. But if he can develop into somebody that gets out there and just you can never have too many interior defensive linemen or D linemen in general, because we barely played any last year. So yeah, I agree. That's another good one to watch.
Yep. Yeah. Last year we tried that speed rush package. It seemed like on third down and passing situations, and just wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm curious what they'll throw out there this go around.
And one we didn't mention, there's a very clear linebacker battle probably going on between Kingsbury and Carmo, right? I think they're both going to play a lot, but I think they're both
Yeah.
probably the favorites to replace Devin Williams full time. Mav is going to be your guy, your Mike in the middle, your clogger, as we like to say. So
Midwest
he's got
Mikes.
that spot locked down. The other thing, fellas, that like I really didn't expect to get excited about this position group because I think it's always been solid, but I did was hearing all of the coaches rave about how Mo is got the running backs looking, and in particular Darius. Like I know Darius Taylor's a very good football player, and we've been aware of that, but like he's gone all in on like making this his last shot to get noticed and go on to the NFL after this. He's changed his body type. Apparently, he's got a full time chef. Harbaugh complimented him. Harbaugh complimented him on uh, a run he had where he's like, it was the best run he had. It was a like 2.5 yard run, but it's a run that every other like all season he tries to bounce out and he takes like a 3 yard loss, but he just put his head down and ran forward for got a 2 yard gain. He's like, it was just like Mo Ibrahim was out there. I'm like, if Mo starts teaching these guys the vision that
That's
he
what we
had,
need.
or at least even a percentage of it, that's gonna immediately help out the run game just because that's what Mo did. It didn't matter who was blocked. He always made the first guy or two miss with ease and then got to the second level. So, and Darius has special ability already. So it's just, I wasn't expecting to get even more excited about Darius and that running back room, but it sounds like Mo has all those guys ready to go and should be interesting.
Yeah.
How good
Yeah,
is it
I'm
to have
just
Mo
chuckling.
back?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm interested again in the receivers too because of Isaac Frichte, right? So it's gonna be
Yeah.
cool to see how these positions kind of play out this upcoming season. So it's exciting, and that's why again, spring ball, it's exciting to kind of see what's going on behind the scenes to get a little taste of what might be the upcoming season. Um, and yeah, I was chuckling. I guess yeah. These days, these athletes can have full time chefs employed. I guess because of their NIL.
Well, I should say, yeah, I don't, I mean, they hired chefs, is what they say.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Drake Lindsay's got one too. Apparently, he looks trimmer. I,
Yeah, good. Do what you have to
eh,
do to perform. I guess right. So
yeah.
I'm all for it.
We want Drake
Um,
Trimmer. What if we just bulk him up? Make him
Yeah.
a
Just a like
here
immovable
tackle.
statue.
Yeah, I'm thinking like late Ben Roethlisberger. Like,
Yeah.
will he run away from someone? No. Can you tackle him? No.
Yeah.
Take that.
that's a great point, Max.
I think that sounds like part of his reasoning was he wants to be more mobile. Not that he's going to be a runner, but just
Yeah, within the pocket.
he realized. I mean, the guy finished with what, 8 rushing touchdowns, and I get most of them were tush pushes, but I mean the wheels against Michigan State in
Right.
overtime,
Yeah.
naked boot. So,
Oof.
um, and there's some more news that dropped too, like the over under win totals have come out. We're kind of saving that. Or did we talk about that our last show? I don't think we did. Did we?
I don't remember.
I don't think
Did
they were
we?
out yet.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't think they were out. I think we just had like the schedule to kind of
Yes,
speculate.
you're right. Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get into it next time, but I feel good about the over for us. We're at 5.5 again, but we'll
Oh,
save that for a
Yeah.
deeper dive
yeah.
for next time. And yeah, we just wanted to get on here, remind you we're still here. We are live. I'm not going to promise a show next week per se, but we're going to be back to being more frequent.
That's
So
right.
thanks for tuning in, everybody. Tell your friends, hit that like and subscribe button. Anything else, fellas?
No, I think you did a pretty good send off. Yeah, just thanks again for listening to Sky U Pod. Just please like and subscribe the channel on YouTube, X, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to your podcast. And check out our partner's website, thecollegehuddle.com, for more podcasts and articles about all things college football. We'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Good night. We love you. See you later, and go Gophers.